guys, and welcome to the Q&A no one ever asked for. I just thought it would be nice to package all my acquired learnings over the past 17 years into a little advice nugget, and mainly because I didn't really have a big sister to guide me through all of this stuff, and these were things that I wish I knew when I was younger, so let's get into it. Anyways, let's talk about school and academics. So, what makes this being qualified to tell you things about school? Well, I don't want this to seem like a humble brag, but I have been a straight A student for around 12 years now, and I've been juggling various extracurriculars on the way, and I also graduated salutatorian of my batch, so there's my credentials. Personally, I felt like I have done a lot in high school, from being a loner to having a friend group to not joining any organizations to joining way too much organizations to just basically leaving high school with a little bit of a bittersweet feeling to it. I was definitely that kid that used to draw their self-worth from their grades because in my teenage brain, I was like, if I'm not smart or pretty, then what am I? And since trying to be good at school is cheaper than buying good genetics or plastic surgery, school was the only part of my life that made me feel like I was okay at something. And when I was starting out in high school, I was definitely not an achiever at all, not in the top 10, barely passing my math quizzes, always asked to be picked for group projects, I was just a really stressed being throughout high school because even though I was trying, I would still fail some of my tests. Grade 7 algebra, but I noticed that the classes I achieved the most in are the ones I'm most passionate about, so I would recommend that you guys try to fall in love with the subject and really put some effort into it.
Basically, what I mean to say is you should work smarter and not harder. Don't be that bookish person that spends like hours and weeks studying for a test because that would just make you have a really dead social life. Color code your notes, pay attention to the rubrics, focus more on which requirements make up most of your final grade, and if you can, skim through your notes for around 10 to 15 minutes per subject every single day because over time, things will just stick in your brain and you don't need to cram like 4 hours worth of study time during your midterms.
Learn to love learning, and if you can set aside time and effort to chat to your crush late at night, I'm sure you can set aside time and effort for your studies as well. And it's always fun to have that genius moment when you finally understand what your teacher is talking about. Next, it is totally okay to be average at everything and not super excellent at one single thing, because whoever said that the jack of all trades and master of none was bad is such a poor mindset. In my opinion, it is a lot more important to have versatile skills because your teacher can just throw whatever projects at you and you can just do them all. And especially in senior high, I suggest that you guys pick up as much skills as you can while you're still in high school. Skills like writing or digital media or public speaking, because by that time you're just doing everything on your own. Also, learn to delegate, trust your group mates, share the workload with them because it's crucial that you share your own skills and also just giving them room to grow and improve as a person. Also, if I knew this back then, maybe it would have been better for my sleep schedule and my psyche in the long run, so learn from me, guys. Let's see, dealing with pressure. On dealing with pressure, like most of my classmates, I was not pressured by my parents at all, but that didn't really stop me from comparing myself to others and feeling like shit if I got like 14 over 20 in my quizzes when everyone else scored way higher. And 14 isn't really even a bad score, but in my head, I was doing absolutely terrible. Nowadays, I just look at my average and try to do better in the next one, so what I would do is just take the teacher's comments and then basically push myself to beating my previous average like some video game leaderboard. This did instill a bit of a workaholic coping mechanism instead, so for some time, I was just really bad at taking care of myself. So lately, at the end of every week, just so I have something to look forward to, I take myself out on a date, I dress up, watch a movie, treat myself to a 300 peso lunch at a really nice restaurant, and just be a really good girlfriend to myself. Ooh, let's talk about boys. Well, to this day, I still haven't had a boyfriend, so that's great. When I was younger, I acted like it was such a terrible thing to be single. Granted, I also grew up reading a lot of Wattpad fanfiction and watching like 90s rom-com movies may or may not have projected unrealistic standards about love and relationships onto me, and I was trying to be such a cool girl when I was a kid. Those movies though were really adamant about like projecting this boyish girl persona, which was ultimately cooler than being a girly girl. But if you're a boyish girl and you don't look hot, you don't essentially have value and guys don't notice you as much. Supposedly in media. I guess in my subconscious I just felt like I needed male approval to fill some sort of void. Also, I had like really intense crushes when I was growing up. Like a girl would either crush on a guy for 2 weeks tops or 6 months minimum. There's no in between. At that time, I was really thirsting for a boyfriend just for the sake of getting one, because it felt like everyone else around me was falling in love and it sucked to not be a part of that, you know? Especially around prom season, I was just really stressing about the fact that I didn't really get a date. And so, like the strong, independent woman that I am, I decided to take matters into my own hands and ask guys out instead. Did that get me any more dates? No, but did that experience make me feel more empowered about myself and just stop seeking male approval overall? Yes! When prom was finally on the horizon, I was feeling a lot better about going stag and just making the most out of the experience, basically. Your girl went all out. I got my dress tailored, I booked a hotel room, a stylist, the whole shebang. I did it all. I was so prepared, so ready to show up without a date, but looking fine as hell, only to get sick and have surgery 3 days before prom. So, everything worked out, I guess? Question mark. I do remember just being at the hospital in the emergency room, and my mom just told the doctors a story about how I'm gonna miss my prom, and the entire emergency room just was filled with women going, "Oh, that's so sad." But finally, after 17 years, I have come to the conclusion that it is absolutely awesome to be single. At this point, I've just been too comfortable with myself and being alone and doing things alone, basically, that I'm just okay walking around in the mall and blasting music in my ears, pretending I'm like the indie character of some coming-of-age A24 indie film. Next, let's talk friends. I felt like I've done the whole 9 to 5 when it comes to friendships, from not having a friend group to having a friend group and then breaking up from that certain friend group and then putting yourself out there to socialize again. It has been a journey. I've definitely had my fair share of staying way too long in a toxic friendship just because I was too scared of being alone again and not having friends like it was the most important thing in the whole world. But my advice for this is to just nurture your network. Basically, just surround yourself with people that make you feel good about yourself and empower you in the best way possible. The kind of people you surround yourself with reflect on who you are as a person and who you are aspiring to be. And generally, this is why rich people get richer, because they surround themselves with other wealthy people who they can share business ideas and tactics with. I don't know why I just gave you a paraphrased version of Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad, but that's financial literacy for ya. If you think that the people around you are making you feel worse overall, just maybe it's time to cut yourself out of their lives, you know? And genuinely, that was one of the best decisions I have made in my entire life. It is definitely better to not have a friend group than staying in a toxic friendship for way too long than needed. And at some point, you just gotta move on. You can just acknowledge that they were a part of your life, but it doesn't mean that they have to stay in your life forever. They can just be another part that help you learn, grow, and mature as a person. That was so inspirational, oh my god. Definitely don't do what I did in the past, which was like, I used to transform myself into a version that I think other people would like. Sometimes when I was younger, I found myself hiding my girly or feminist side when I was around guys that I wanted to impress or guy friends, because I was being hashtag not like other girls. Just why did I do that? I also used to be very angsty in high school, like around the first 2 years. I was such an antisocial being. I would just be like this friendship starfish waiting for people to befriend me, you know, and I didn't really want to approach other people because it felt like I was feeling close or people would judge me for putting myself out there, I guess. I always felt like I had no one to relate to because I kept having to embody these different personas just to get along with different kinds of people. As a result, I just kind of generalized everyone into this box, how, oh, everyone's boring, I don't find anyone interesting, why can't everyone else be cultured and relate to me, blah blah blah. This was literally my mindset as a kid. That's problematic on so many levels. Oh my god. Wow. But as I broke out of my antisocial shell, I realized there was more to people than what I actually thought. People had substance as long as you were willing to reach out to them, because they're just as scared to reach out to people as much as you are. So as long as you have that confidence to take that leap and, you know, you have nothing to lose. Worst case scenario, they're gonna reject you and you can move on to a different person to hang out with. In best case scenario, you're actually just gonna get another human that you deeply relate with, so. Making friends, guys. It's a thing. Granted, that is probably the only reason why I was able to enjoy senior high, because I was able to meet all these wonderful layered, interesting people that I could relate with or at least like learn something from. And now they're such a big part of my life, and I hope they're gonna be a big part of my life in the future. So yeah, with that said, friends are really about quality over quantity, and I know that sounds really cheesy, but sometimes you can get so caught up in the IG stories we see of people hanging out with their big barcadas with 20 people. But I can literally count my friends on both of my hands, and that doesn't really make my friendships with them or relationships with them any less valuable, and that's the beauty of it. Anyways, I've been rambling for around 2 hours now, and I should wrap this up because my battery is running low, basically. I'll see you guys hopefully with a proper upload schedule because I have no idea what to do, honestly. So, yeah.